Hey everybody, Carl Ellwein here, Ellwein Engines. I just got done watching a Jonathan Atkins video. It's from a year ago, but really excellent and fun knowledge. Well spoken and just a lot of great knowledge. I want to talk about that. It was, the difference between small block Chevy LT1 and then the LS and the advantages. I saw Jonathan Atkins and his dad at World Cup Finals 2024 at MIR, my home track. And that first time I met him, and that's when it dawned on me because of what he said. He prefers small block Chevy, LT1 or regular, aftermarket block, small block Chevy, because of the 5 bolts, the clamping. In summary, the clamping. But also, the clamping is inboard of water. Excellent clamping compared to LS, where it's 4 bolts. A bolt here, a bolt here, a bolt here, a bolt here, a bolt here. How many total would that be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, anyway, that's the first point. So you can make. He prefers small block Chevy for reliability on cylinder head and clamping force. When you're above like 1,000 horsepower, this is what because the LS is awesome, bone stock. It's far superior to this at bone stock. But after 1,000 horsepower and you're doing aftermarket parts and you need to be, turning it up, then you fill the block, dry, no water. I'm going to look into what he had talked about, the tick performance he had, which were stabilizer plugs that he sells. I'm going to look into that. But also, I was always thought that it would be an advantage to have the thrust. The LS has the thrust here in the center, but that would be the weakest area. Small block Chevy, big block has it here at a thick part of the block, the thrust. So when you do have automatic transmission torque converters pushing, this is a sturdier spot. The third advantage that small block Chevy has is if your steel splayed caps and the 7/16 studs, more clamping force, 80 foot-pounds, and the LS certainly has the 6 bolts, but of course I'm linking to Jonathan Atkins' video. Watch that video. He explains it better than me. He's more knowledgeable too. He's got the experience, so to speak. But LS clamping compared to small block Chevy mains clamping, small block Chevy clamping better. That's it. That's all I'm going to talk about that for now. So anyway, today it's measure the Eagle crankshaft mains, clean it up, measure the bearing clearance, put the crankshaft in, put rod pistons in, check back a little bit later. Even in the winter, I try to keep it at like 67 degrees. I just double check the thermometer, and it's 68 degrees. And whatever that is in European, I have no idea. Exactly 20 in European speak. The rest of them, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here it's 27. All right, we got the new bearing clearances. Measurement with the Callies, measured with the Eagle crankshaft. Later today, I'm going to put this short block together and move forward. Another thing I forgot. Double check my bore again. Double check this. Looks like I'm at 4. I'm gonna need to do standard. That's the X. Let's not call it the top, it's the bottom. All right, we're gonna call this, with standard bearings, 0.0040. I want to do a quick tech tick today. Generalities in how much clearance you should do for your main bearings. And it's just going to be short. Okay, so Callies says when you're in a performance application and there's a lot of stress, at least 0.001 inch bearing clearance per 1 inch of your rod journal size. So of your main journal size. So this is a small block Chevy. Let's call it 2.500. So that would give you then at least, as in under Callies' recommendation, 0.0025 main clearance. So if you have it at 3 thou, well, that'll give it more room under flexing and cap walking, less hitting the main bearings. What if you have it at 4 thou? I think of that as an oil leak. So more oil leaking past the main, less pressure getting pushed up to the rod. So less oil to the rods. That's what you just got to keep in mind. So wider main clearance, less pressure to the rod journals, less oil to the rod journals. So at the rear main, it's feeding number 8, and here this is feeding number 7. Number 6 is feeding number 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what's called for in the rear main is a little bit more clearance. Well, this right now measures at 0.004. Well, it's feeding just one rod journal. If this one here was at 0.004, now it's trying to feed 2 rod journals, I would worry about those 2, number 7 and 6, getting adequate pressure under severe conditions, because it'd be bleeding off pressure. So just keep that in mind. Generalities in main bearing clearances under performance conditions. This top one is wider, or at least as gapped, as wide as this second ring. And in this case, the second ring here is 28 thou. So I made this one 28, but it actually went to 35 thou. So it needs to be at least as gapped, as wide as this one. And that's to pass blow by into the crankshaft and not flutter these rings. Hey, so if you're keeping your water pump drive, I go in my core and I find the best shaft, core shaft, and I polish the seal area. It's still not going to guarantee to be the best, and then I get a new bearing, SKF. I get a core, and this is what comes with the Callies timing set, extreme set, because it meshes with it. You can't use the stock one. If you do use the stock one, it won't last that long. The gears are different. They're cut different. So you have to use this. And I put it all together, and you got a refurbished water pump drive gear. Point 1, point 2, point 3. We'll go to the 40, then back to the 40. Okay. So for intake center line, I got 106.5. And I'm going to call it good. Now we'll go to the exhaust. Watch this when it gets to 50. Now it's beginning to open. And 50 is good enough right there. So we got exhaust open before bottom dead center. 60, 50, 57.5. Exhaust open at 56. That's real close within it. Let's double check lobe lift. So there's 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.345. 0.345 is tappet lift, excuse me. Let's try center line. I'm going to back up. I figure when it gets to 42, I'll take a note. 42. What do I call? What's it supposed to be? 1, 2. Exhaust. Okay. Call it 131. 131. And 106. That is, it was 118.5. So we're close. I'm going to leave it there. But what if you have an aftermarket oil pan? You think that they are going to fit? An aftermarket oil pan usually fits worse, unless you get one specifically for. So this is a Stess pan that they do for me. It's generally the basic specs with a few of my own requests. This is their basic stroker notch pan rail. I never have rods ever hit these, so this is always enough. Doesn't mean it's going to be enough for yours. The pan, I have it ordered wide open. I don't like to have windage screens in here. I like to have airspace. So it comes with this. So like when you're drag racing and you are at the finish line and you put the negative G's, a lot of the oil will stay in the sump. It'll stay in here on the D-cell. But basically, all the oil is in here. The bigger this sump, the better. Even with road racing. Yes, in road racing, you're going to do a high G long turn and all the oil is going to climb up over here. And your pickup might be here. It might be starving for a little bit. But the bigger your sump, let's say the less chance of starving your oil pump. I have found that the wing pans just have a teeny weeny little wing and the pans are shallower. They don't do it and they're hard to fit. They're hard to fit in the chassis. Let's go quickly to the only place I always have to clearance additionally the Steph's pan, and it's for this counterweight. And that would be this spot over here. So I'm going to put this on and show you how I test. All right, so I put it on without a gasket. Line up the holes. Listen for interference. There's interference already. I know that's the rear counterweight, right? Yes, every time it bumps, it might put a little bit of aluminum. So do it. So that's it right there. Okay, see, that back counterweight is that amount going to clear. Moment of truth. This is my first try. After cleaning it, blowing it, clean it with parts washer. And that's with no gasket. Clears. £85 static. I think the fuel system is working good, but I also check for obvious problems. Like, where did that come from? Well, it came from my gauge when I took it off and swapped it for the other one. sometimes, you know, the oil just drips right past. Without the valve covers on, you'll get oil over here. You're not going to be able to show leaks that develop after hard use and flexing of the engine and flexing of the oil pan. But you're going to find the big mistakes, like, you know, not sealing real good right there. Okay, oil pump drive gear in. A look at the intake valley here. Then I fit the intake manifold on dry just to make sure it looks good and there's no problems. This one I didn't worry about. It came already. This is a rebuild, so this was already fit nicely onto the block. One thing I did find is it's LT4 ports, so the LT1 gasket fits better. The intake manifold, excuse me, is a LT1, so that's going to fit on there much better. So the LT1 gasket was put on. RTV, it's Right Stuff black, and getting ready for the test stand. Here's my setup for an engine run stand, not on the dyno. An old Flowmaster system from years way back. Clear image coated headers. EFI, you know, there's the pump right there. And so I do a return system, so it returns right there. I have cam 2 in there. I do not like to run pump gas because it's dirty and unpredictable. I don't use these gauges at all. I just use the install gauges or that fuel pressure gauge. Oil pressure right here, that goes right to the Holly. Torque head coils, torque head signal kit that feeds the Holly. I just have a solid state relay right there for things to turn on, like the water pump and the fuel pump and the Holly. The Holly harness here. When I'm not running it, I leave it unplugged, the main power. I unplug it from there. When I'm not running it, I just run it on a 12-volt battery that's on a charger. And I put a flywheel on there to help give me more weight. So inside is a flywheel. It's a neutral flywheel because this is a neutral rotating assembly. I use the Holly's internal vacuum manifold air pressure sensor. I don't use that one, and I couldn't because this is the customer's, Mike Lonergan's. He's got a 2 or 3 bar map sensor there. I just have, it's only 1 bar in a Terminator X. All right, enjoy the run. water pump leak right here. That's my water pump. That's enough water leaking. See all this water coming from here. I didn't have a gasket. That's a good double check on the engine. Got the coolant temp up to 120. But it also validates that the crank sensor and the cam sensor works. Not much more. When you have it on a test stand, you're looking for oil leaks. And maybe tomorrow when Zach comes over, I'll get that water pump leak fixed. And we'll do a little more. All right, maybe tomorrow when Zach comes over, I'll get the coolant leak fixed, the water pump leak fixed, and we'll run this thing up to warmer, 160. Ellwein engines. Take care.